How many in the audience are entrepreneurs? How many are wantrepreneurs? Okay, well, in keeping with the theme of today's event, Act Now, I hope this inspires some of you to act now. I began my first venture in 1999 with a laptop and a spare bedroom in Manhattan. I had the idea to create the first Hispanic-targeted digital marketing company. I called it Lumina. Eventually raised $20 million, had 125 employees working in New York City, Sao Paulo, Buenos Aires, and Los Angeles. It was an amazing experience. I learned a lot. And as the saying goes, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. And I sold that business in 2009 and moved to Santa Fe with my wife and 2 children, thinking that I would start my new business here. Santa Fe we came here for, what most of us come here for is the culture, the beauty, the diversity of the place. And you have to be a bit quirky and out of the mainstream to want to live here. As we all know, and I discovered, this is not like the rest of America. It truly is the city different. You all know what I mean. We moved here and were welcomed by the community, and I met a number of people in the business community. And I kept hearing these common themes. People saying, you can't start a business here. It's hard to hire any good people. They don't work very hard. It's just plain weird. And being who I am, I took those as words of challenge to prove them wrong. So I took off and started to explore different options. And I had some thoughts in my mind of what I wanted my next business venture to be. I wanted it to be innovative and progressive, something no one had done before. I wanted it to be meaningful, and meaningful to a large group of people, to make a positive impact in society in some way. And to, as Steve Jobs used to say, make a dent in the universe. And so I started my exploration. I looked at opening a wine bar. I became an interim CEO of a local technology company. I came this close to buying a fly fishing business. And I did a deep dive on alternative energy, but nothing really worked. Then one day I was sitting in the doctor's office and had a clipboard and paper and filling out all the forms, and filled out my name and address and phone number, social security number, and date of birth again and again and again and again and again and again, 6 times. I think we can all relate to that. It's so frustrating. It seems so archaic. I looked around the waiting room, and it was a kind of a usual scene. Rachel Ray was on the TV with the volume shut off. There was a pile of uninviting brochures about hemorrhoids, bunions, and some disgusting skin disease. There was a stack of magazines that were all ratty, pages torn out with really gross smudges on the covers. One had Britney Spears with her head shaved from 4 years ago. And then it happened. Staring into Britney's half-crazed eyes, the light of inspiration shone in my mind. I looked down at my lap and my iPad, and I said, what if all the forms were on the iPad? What if those brochures and all that health information was on the iPad? What if those magazines were on the iPad? Heck, Rachel Ray would stick her in there too. And, well, that would make my life as a patient much easier. I could fill out those forms quickly, and I wouldn't have to write my name and everything again and again. The doctor's office would get the information more accurately. It would save waste. It would save trees. It would save the practice a lot of money. Heck, I could learn about the health condition I was to see the doctor for. I could read a magazine, maybe even play a game. And in one hand, I held the 19th century. In the other hand, I held the 21st century. Closing that gap was the opportunity of a lifetime that I had been seeking. I finished filling out the forms. I went to the front desk. I gave them the clipboard, and I held my iPad in the hand. I said to the woman at the front desk, wouldn't you rather have I fill this information out on the iPad? Without missing a beat, she said, oh my God, yes. When? I knew I was onto something. I raced home that night, And I looked at on the App Store and online, I searched for anything that had to do with patient registration or health information. And out of the 20,000 apps on the App Store, there was not one. I did some research. I said, well, how many doctors are there in the US? I'm from a medical family. My dad was a doctor. My brother's a surgeon. And I found out there's 1.7 million healthcare providers in the US, and they see over 4 billion patient visits a year. And I thought, wow, that's an opportunity. So I worked with a local doctor, created a prototype of a medical history form, put it on an iPad. He used it, and after the first day called me and said, this will change my practice. It will pay for itself in 1 week. And he went out and bought 2 more iPads. I thought, if it works for one, it'll probably work for another. I took that app, I put it on the Apple App Store last July, and in 8 weeks had 6,500 downloads in a dozen countries without one word of advertising, one press release, one announcement. I said, this is the opportunity I've been looking for. So that was a year ago. Now I've got a team of 13 people. We've created Snap, which is the first iPad-based patient registration and health information system in the country, maybe in the world, I don't know. And we're installing that in medical practices in New Mexico, in Oregon, in California, and soon to be nationally. So I share all that to say, what did I learn about starting a business in Santa Fe? You can start a business in Santa Fe. There are great people to hire, and they do work hard. You know, we live in such an interesting, diverse community. We've got people from all walks of life with all sort of success and knowledge and experience. Our talent pool is about 5 miles wide, but it's about 1 inch deep. You know, I think about the other advantage of being in Santa Fe is that we can be a large fish in a small pond. And where I was in New York, I was one in a million. Santa Fe, our company's 1 of a million. So we can really stand out and attract attention and attract the best and brightest in this community. You know, innovation doesn't come from a place. It really comes from creative, smart, dedicated people. You know, Silicon Valley and Silicon Alley in New York get all this, you know, buzz about being a center of entrepreneurship and innovation, and they truly are. But they don't have a monopoly on creative ideas. Creativity and innovation can come from anywhere. It comes from, again, people like us. So, you know, we live in a challenging time. We've heard a number of comments about that today, and we're all living that. So I believe that in this times like we have today, we can't try to think about what we did before, what we did in the past. It really calls for creative entrepreneurship in every walk of life. Whether you're a teacher, you're a doctor, you're a lawyer, you're a government worker, you have to think creatively about where your future lies. And for anybody who's graduating from college or recently graduated, I believe this is the path forward. So, you know, the mind of an entrepreneur, as my wife says, is kind of strange. We have to live this duality of being 100% confident in whatever you're pursuing, and yet always questioning the path you're on, and have the flexibility to remain open to making changes along as you go. So for any of you who have a burning desire to start a business, invent a product, start a nonprofit, create a movement, pursue your passion, do your homework, be clear-eyed about the challenges that lie ahead, be ready to adjust to the course as whatever the universe throws you. Most importantly, never lose confidence in your ability to pursue your endeavor. So I'd like to close with a quote that my wife Nicole gave me when I first embarked on this journey. I think it really crystallizes and encompasses what an entrepreneur and a leader is about. It's by Ralph Waldo Emerson. And it says, "Don't go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail." Thank you.